Welcome to our world.
I see many opportunities in the future for contaminating each other and to find out new way of proposing lifestyle. Something more, probably more complex and more fascinating.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you to you.
To start with, I'm curious, why did you pick Shanghai for the new headquarters?
Actually, it's an easy question with an easy answer. I mean, if you want to be in China and play as a leader and as a real player, you have to be in Shanghai. So when we actually started with our project 10 years ago, we did already know that China would have become one of the most important markets in terms of development for our products and our brands. And ultimately, we started in Suzhou, to be honest. So the first establishment of our offices was in Suzhou, but then we decided as soon as all the brands and all the organization was mature enough just to move where you have to be, where all the architect and the designer community is, which is basically in Shanghai. To the same extent, we have another branch, another subsidiary in US, and it's based in New York, and the third one in London. So Shanghai was a choice.
So how do you balance Italian design and the Chinese taste?
That's an excellent question. And it's also the reason why we have established a permanent presence in China with a, say, subsidiary, with a permanent organization. Actually, the way we build up our Dexelance Group was selecting high-end, valued Italian companies in the world of design, furniture, and lighting, with the idea to export worldwide the so-called Italian lifestyle. So on one end, what each of our brands is proposing is just how we are supposed to live in Italy in terms of style and fashion and habits. But of course, you need to have a sort of what I call the cultural translation. So that's why we have a permanent team here of valued people, because it's their job to translate into the Chinese habits, way of working, way of distributing our products, the offer of our companies and our brand that basically is Italian. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what we do.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious what keywords you will use to describe Italian lifestyle.
Ooh, you made me many easy questions. This is not an easy one. Italian lifestyle is something intangible that we as Italians cannot explain. We don't have an explanation for that, but we clearly know that worldwide, almost in every country in the world, everybody thinks that we live in a magnificent, nice, and funny way, which is not actually the truth in real life in Italy, because we have the same suffering pains than any other country in the world. But it's true that, I mean, the average quality of life that you can enjoy in most parts of Italy is pretty much high. So it's quite understandable why we became, as a country and as a population, a sort of inspiration for many populations around the world.
Mm-hmm. So are you planning to work with local designers?
Yes, why not? I mean, we're not working only with Italian designers, not at all. Our companies don't do that. Of course, each of our brands has a specific DNA and a specific set of values. So the kind of designers that normally select each of them are designers that do respect the consistency of their proposal, of their brand image and brand value. And no problem to work with a designer from any nationality, including the Chinese one. Not only, but I mean, in our industry, when you play in the high end of the market, designer, architects, and interior designers are basically as much important as the final consumer. And so anyhow, we have to address the A&D community in China as well as in any other place of the world. And the building where we are now, this 3-story villa, is just conceived for that purpose, just to host designers, to allow designers and architects to come here with their clients. So it's kind of a meeting point where the A&D community can get any kind of inspiration they like.
Does China play a larger part of your global revenue?
Unfortunately, not yet, but it will. Currently, China represents roughly almost 4% of our sales, so not yet so much. But of course, we all know that the Chinese market will become in some years, nobody knows how many years, the most important market for high-end design and lighting products. So we all know that the market, it will be developed. The speed depends on many factors that are not under our control, but we know that this is the trend. We want to be there, and I'm sure that in some years' time from now, China will be a much larger part of our sales.
So how can Italian aesthetics better connect with Chinese consumers? And do you have any plans to work with traditional crafts or like Chinese contemporary art?
Well, actually, not yet, but I'm sure it will happen in the future. To be a bit more precise, we are selling through our brand and proposing to the market, as I said before, so far a sort of Italian lifestyle concept, but local habits, even in China, local habits, and the tradition that has been neglected for many decades, it seems that it is coming back. So as soon as Chinese design world will find a way to transform their origin into a modern way of proposing the tradition, the very long-term heritage, then we will probably find kind of collaboration and cooperation that today we can only find throughout our local structure of people here, local organization, and thanks to our local professional dealers. So we get a lot of feedbacks from our dealers around China, just in terms of what it works, what it does not work, what should be changed, also to make some adaptation to our proposal to the current Chinese lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. So last but not least, and it's also a very broad question, how do you see the next big opportunities or risks for made in Italian in China?
But I don't see many risks, to be honest. As I said before, I see many opportunities in the future for contaminating each other. The tradition of design in Italy is very old-rooted, but China has a much older tradition. I found here and there some attempts to revamp in a modern way what was the history, the millennial history of China. As soon as this will happen, I don't see a risk, but I see a huge opportunity to contaminate and merge each other and to find out new way of proposing lifestyle, not only the pure idealistic Italian lifestyle, but something more, probably more complex and more fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.